This is John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. Welcome to another Mail Call Mondays, and this is the first time using our new camera and new audio system, so I hope this works out really well. There may be some hiccups, and this will be a rather short Mail Call Mondays because I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to get this processed and get it out to you. But without further ado, let's get on with the show. And this Mail Call Mondays, I'm going to answer a little bit more on a question that I've gotten quite often. And because of the rifle sitting in front of me, it seemed to be something that we keep having pop up over and over again. Now, in the last Mail Call Mondays, I asked you guys about the new Ruger Precision Rifle, which version you guys would like to see us test, either the 308 or the 6.5 Creedmoor version. And I got a resounding response with the 6.5 Creedmoor. There are still a good deal of 308 holdouts, but most of you guys really want to see the 6.5 Creedmoor. And I think the reason that is because that would be a really great entry-level precision rifle competition rifle, where you can just buy it out of the box, drop some glass onto it, buy you a couple cases of Hornady 6.5 or Copper Creek 6.5 and roll with it. You really don't even have to reload anymore to be able to shoot a 6.5 Creedmoor in competition. So that, of course, brings back the old argument on which is better for a new shooter, 6.5 Creedmoor or 308 Winchester. And really, there is no right or wrong answer. If you're a new shooter that thinks you're going to go out and you are going to be able to put 100 rounds a week downrange, being able to train, then the 308 Winchester will give you longer barrel life. You'll get more effective training out of it before you have to replace the barrel in that rifle. The drawback to that is, of course, you'll be severely handicapped when you actually go to a competition. So if you've gotten to that level where your skill level, your ability to call wind, your ability to get a stable position and get rounds down range is at a high level, then you're still going to have problems with the actual ballistics of the cartridge. Just to give you a rough difference, if you have a 10-mile-an-hour wind and you're shooting, say, the 140 grain AMAX 6.5 Creedmoor load from Hornady versus a 308 version, their 178 grain Superformance load, which is a good BC cartridge that is moving at a pretty good velocity, you're going to have about a 12-inch difference in wind drift at 10 miles an hour at 1,000 yards between those two cartridges. You're going to have a massive amount of drop difference between the two, but most of the stuff that you're going to shoot, most of the stages in most of the PRS matches I've been to recently, you're going to know pretty much dead on what the range to the target is. So that nullifies the difference in the drop. There are occasionally some stages where it's unknown distance or you have a variety of different targets that you need to engage really fast. And so less drop is always a benefit, but the fact that it's taking so much longer for that bullet to get down range and it's sitting in the wind so much longer really causes a difference there on wind drift. So if you honestly are going to buy a new rifle and you're going to go out and train with it and then you're going to roll into competition, I think the 6.5 Creedmoor is probably going to be the better choice for you because you can train with the same rifle you're going to shoot with. Of course, the drawback to that is you're going to have to budget to replace that barrel. Right off the bat, as soon as you start shooting with it, start saving money for a replacement barrel. That way you're ready to go as soon as that rifle needs to be rebarreled. With the 308 Winchester, you can pretty much put that in the back of your mind for a couple of years. It's not going to need to be rebarreled for a good while. Again, there is going to be a competitive difference. You're not going to be coming in, probably not in the top 15 at a match shooting a 308 Winchester. So really, it's going to be what you're comfortable with. Be honest with yourself. If you don't think you're going to be rolling right in and you're going to be competing in several PRS matches a year, then I say go with the 308 Winchester because you're going to have a greater availability of ammunition, a wider selection of ammunition. It's stupid easy to reload for the 308, although there are plenty of 6.5 Creedmoor recipes out there. It's the 308 is really an easy cartridge to load for. You can sometimes pick up brass on your range. So all that stuff is out there. The components are usually available in your local gun shop, depending upon your area. I know here I can roll into just about any of our shops and pick up bullets or brass and sometimes powder to load 308 Winchester. Not so much for 6.5 Creedmoor. The brass is pretty much a special order thing, and sometimes there are good 6.5 bullets on the shelf, sometimes there are not. So all those things need to come into consideration. But again, if you're one of these guys that you want to buy the rifle, you have a good basics on your basic marksmanship skills, but you want to buy a rifle, you want to get schooled up on it, and within a couple months of buying the rifle, you want to actually be shooting PRS matches, get the 6.5 Creedmoor. Now again, the rifle in front of me is our Mega Arms Ma 10 6.5 Creedmoor project, and we are still working on getting the last couple episodes on this guy turned out. The rifle is shooting great. Well, let's say great. There are a couple of little caveats to it, and again, we'll cover that when we get into the episode. But the components on it, for the most part, have worked just the way I've expected them to. And we are going to shoot a couple of different loads. Copper Creek was nice enough to send us a good deal of their 6.5 Creedmoor ammunition. We are also going to shoot some of the 140 grain AMAX Hornady loading to see how well that performs. I know some of you guys have complained about some pressure issues with that Hornady 6.5 Creedmoor load with the 140 grain load. So we're going to check it out in this guy, and we're going to see with our adjustable gas system and with the chamber that's in this barrel if we have any pressure issues with that factory load. And of course, once we get done with all the factory ammunition, we will go through a load workup, and we're going to actually get a high performance load dialed in for this rifle. So we still have a lot more mileage to go to get out of this rifle. I also will be putting a different mount and a different scope on here so we can put this guy back on our 308 Ma 10, because that rifle really needs to get out and get some practice done. Now I want to get to the second topic I want to talk about today, and that is brass, specifically 308 Federal Gold Medal Match brass. We brought up time and time again, when I am loading stuff, especially for semi-automatic rifles, I like to use the Federal Gold Medal Match brass because it's cheap and easy for me to get a hold of. I kind of look at it as throwaway brass. Now, there's a lot of argument online about Federal Gold Medal Match brass being a little bit soft. We haven't had any issues with the necks breaking or the necks cracking or opening up on it. The brass produces very consistent hand loads, so I don't have any complaints there. I have gotten in excess of 5 loadings on bolt guns. Usually what I'll do when I start to get around 5 loadings on the bolt guns, I will then take that brass and I'll downgrade that brass for gas guns. And I'll maybe get 1 or 2 loads out of the gas guns before the primer pocket will open up, and it'll no longer hold those primers in there. Now once you get that primer pocket opening up, you can sometimes squeeze 1 more firing out of it. I know guys that are in there that will glue primers in when the flat or the primer pocket opens up too much. They'll glue primers in, and then that brass is done after that firing. They scrap it out. So when you look at it that way through my cycle, I'm getting about 8 firings, possibly more if I keep it in the bolt gun for a little bit longer. About 8 firings out of brass that is as cheap as once fired gold medal match brass is. And it's a really good deal. I like it because I always keep a good chunk of that gold medal match brass on hand. So when I'm shooting, especially gas guns, and I lose one, I'm not real worried about it. Also, the gold medal match brass can easily be resized to 260 Remington, so I can size it down, run it in my 260 Remington. And again, if I lose some in a competition, because if you shoot stuff like K&M, shooting on the rocks, you'll lose brass constantly. I don't know anybody that's actually got all their brass back shooting on the rocks there. Also, there are several other matches where you're shooting from towers, you're shooting from elevated positions, and you really don't want to spend hours trying to find your brass when you're done. So shooting brass like that where I know it's going to produce good quality loads, but I can jettison it when I'm done and not worry about picking it up, that really is good to go. Now, we haven't tried sizing it down to 6.5 Creedmoor yet, but I'm going to assume it's going to work pretty much the way our 260 is. And when we get into doing reloads for this guy, we may try to resize or neck down some 308 Federal Gold Medal match brass to 6.5 Creedmoor and see how it works out. Now, some of you guys did make a comment that does have some merit about shooting brass that is head stamped 308 Gold Medal match when we've necked it down to a different caliber and we have a lot of 308s around. So there is always the possibility that if you're careless, that you could get a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 260 round mixed in and fire it through a 308 rifle. Well, when you think about this, it's not going to generate an unsafe condition. It's not good for the barrel or the chamber of the 308 you're firing it in. It's definitely not something I would do intentionally, but it's not going to cause an unsafe condition. What you're going to basically do is take that 6.5 Creedmoor or the 260 round and you're going to fire form it back to 308 size. The bullet is going to go out the barrel. It's not going to tumble or anything, it's just not going to stabilize. So you definitely wouldn't want to do it with a suppressor on. You run a very good chance of damaging the suppressor. But if you were running unsuppressed, that round is just going to fly down range. It may or may not hit your target, but it is not going to blow the gun up. So there's really not a big safety issue there. The reverse, if I tried to chamber a 308 round into a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 260, it's not going to chamber. In fact, it really shouldn't because it won't get past the neck. Again, I have not tried this, but I can't imagine you're actually going to be able to chamber a 308 round in a 260 or a 6.5 Creedmoor. So really the head stamp thing is not going to cause an issue where we could blow a gun up if we're not careful. But it is something that you definitely want to double check the labels on your reloading boxes. You want to double check the cartridges before you start your shooting day to make sure you're not getting things mixed up if you're one of these guys that wants to resize one caliber into another. So just some things to think about. That's really all we have for this Mail Call Mondays. I wanted to get the 6.5 Creedmoor back in front of the camera and let you guys know we haven't forgotten about it. We also have not forgotten about the Ruger 1022 project. We are still working on that. Now that we're back, now that we're reset, and hopefully this camera gear will make it a little bit easier for us to get out and get some stuff done. We'll be cranking out some more videos for you. So please, if you like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I definitely want to hear some comments on how you think the video and the audio quality is, so make sure you leave those comments in the comment section below or send them to us on Facebook or Twitter. And as always, until next time, get out and shoot!